Hey everybody, it's Rod Ryan. It's Tessa, Rod Ryan Show. So they came to us a couple of weeks ago. So you just had your 3rd year anniversary.
I did. It was this past week. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
We did a sit down 3 years ago, you and I, when you were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I don't know what that means, but you seemed to be super excited about this new chapter in your life.
Scared.
And then here we are 3 years later, and we have this interview today, and you told me you haven't washed your hair in 3 days. So
is the light dull in my eyes?
I mean,
help!
I was actually gonna go back and I was gonna watch the interview from 3 years ago, and then I said no. I am going to watch it after we get done with this.
Okay.
Because I'd like to see like the change and the metamorphosis and what's been going on. So Bobby Jokes gave me a bunch of stuff, and we can get into that. He's got some questions that I asked you 3 years ago. But what I wanted to know just personally, because I was kind of looking forward to doing this, was just a super sweepingly vague question. 3 years into this gig, is it close to being what you thought it was going to be? Is it more, less, the same?
It is. I knew I was in for a wild ride. I knew that I was in for something that I had never experienced, and that has held up. That part, I was right about that. But it has been it's been the wildest ride of my life so far. And I think that me as a person, I feel like I've kind of had to navigate through stuff that I didn't realize what the expectation was, and it was just like, don't burn the place down. But it has been a pleasant surprise in the way that, okay, we kind of just will do anything to go there. Sometimes the show will take a serious spin. Sometimes the show is like, I cannot believe we're doing this. Getting out when the world shut down, I felt like we really became a family. And then I also feel like the world has opened back up, and the city of Houston has been dope to me. Like, I feel like it's been amazing to me.
You know, you bring that up, and it's come up on the show a lot. For the longest time, right after you got here, it wasn't long. You weren't on the air for even 6 months. It was 5 months, I think, you're on the air. And the world kind of shuts down. And we stopped doing a lot of the things that, you know, the show had been known for.
Right.
And I'm talking some of the signature events and the things that we were out with the people and everything. And you kind of got robbed of that.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, there was bigger things going on in the world, okay?
100%.
So, but what I'm saying is, you know, that all plays into your experience, you know, being a part of the show. And that's something that if you go and you look at other co-hosts that have been on the show, only you had that experience, you know?
Right.
You know, you could go and talk to people that have done these things with us, but only you did the pandemic with the Rod Ryan Show. And it was a weird, to say the least, it was a weird situation. There was only about a 6-week time period that we worked from home, but you and I always worked together in the same room, though. We didn't stop.
No.
I felt like that needed to happen. Like, we were broadcasting from my house, and then Alex and Chili were still coming in, being socially distanced from one another. Those are things that even me, for as long as I've been doing this, that's stuff that happened to me that's never happened in my career. You'd think that you've been thrown everything, and then, you know, the pandemic and the world says, hold my beer.
Yeah, it was one of those things that was bigger than anything I had ever done before. I felt that we had the responsibility to the listeners to keep something a little bit normal, and we were trying to still put a show together, the four of us. And as a human, I think it's human nature, I almost associated like me coming to the show with everything shutting down. I'm like, I almost felt like, did I do this? Like, what did I do? I had made this big change in my life. It was so weird. And I know, looking at that thing, it's like, no, stupid. Like, no, those two things are completely not related. That was going to happen. But it was tough. I remember it was tough, but it just wasn't me. We were literally all in it together. And I'm glad, I wouldn't change us doing that. I wouldn't change. Remember when we extended the show an hour? We were doing an extra. It was a 5-hour show.
What was it called?
El Hora Stupida.
El Hora Stupido. And, you know, now I have some, you know, pretty well-speaking Spanish speaking on the show, and I come up with the name Hora Stupido, like the stupid hour, the extra stupid hour. And they all look at me and they say, that's a good name. Let's go with that. So, yeah, we stayed on for an extra hour. Yeah, there was a lot of things that were thrown at us. And, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it again. But going through it with this team, I mean, I just thought that was interesting that is a unique experience on the Rod Ryan Show that only the four of us share together, you know? And I hope no one ever has to go through that again, for any of that. So before you got here and before you got your job, and we're going to have to repost the original interview because you give some great stuff on your backstory. But before you got on the air, here's what I remember that I knew about your career is you're from Corpus and you made it onto the news there.
Yeah, I was a sports anchor for 4 years there.
Okay, and your face is on a billboard and Corpus isn't very big and you're on a billboard and you're driving around and your mom sees your head on a billboard. So I'm trying to give you a taste of the level of fame that she had. And then you're in the Lingerie Football League.
Before that, yeah.
And then you're doing some radio out in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. What is it like being on the Rod Ryan Show in the fourth biggest city in America as far as you're recognized, how you're recognized around town?
Well, my whole life changed when I got here. I think I had 7,000 followers on Instagram, and I thought I was kicking ass. And now I think we've grown that following to almost 40,000. So that is one thing.
I think you got 10,000 followers that first week.
I did.
I remember going, oh shit, if she keeps this up, I mean, she's going to leave us just to become an influencer on Instagram. At this rate, she's getting 10,000 a week. I go, we might only have this hooker for 6 months, and she's going to peace out.
No, what's so crazy is that I actually feel like I've never been able to be more of myself than here. So I am so thankful for that because part of TV, and of course I was on talk radio, and I was delivering the news, and I still give the news. We do headlines and stuff here. But here's where I can get raw, I can get real. And I think everyone's has a small dream to just, hey, I just kind of want to be myself in my job, and the fact that I get to do that and people have my back, relate with me, disagree, whatever they do, it's a space to share that. And I sometimes, I have to remind myself you are so lucky that people give a shit about what you're saying and doing. I mean, that's not going to last forever. So even 3 years later, I'm milking it in, and everywhere I go, I mean, it's so cool when I'm with my family and people notice me. I feel like, look, I'm doing something here. I'm a part of this big community, and I didn't realize radio would lead to that sort of notoriety. We're in people's ears, but then when I'm out at a Texans game, an Astros game, a popular place, people are just, they show love. And you always have this insecurity, okay, are people going to like me? And that doesn't lose. And I straddle the fence of, well, I don't give a shit. This is who I am. But also, no, I want to be successful. I want people to like what we're doing. It's important to me.
I'll say this and take this as a compliment because they're few and far between on this show and amongst us. But I feel that people adapted and accepted you way sooner than I thought. Now, what do I mean by that? Hey, listen, I picked her. You got to put up with it. You have to deal with it. So, I mean, it was my decision.
All right.
Okay? I said, this is who I want on the air. So it's got to come with, it comes with my endorsement that
right.
I'm not going to, because we talk about the listeners of the show, which is like our family. And I think at this point, they trust me to make the right decision. I've hand-selected every single person that's on that show,
right.
Okay? And the people that are in my ear that are helping me with this haven't always agreed with my decisions, at least in the beginning.
Well, our listeners are very honest, painfully honest.
But listeners, I know that there were probably a couple of bumps and bruises along the way, but I got to tell you that the acceptance of you was way quicker than I could have ever anticipated.
Well, thankfully.
Do you feel that way? I mean, because until you start bouncing around, you work at different radio stations, and you realize, because when I got here, let me tell you, it was a rough 6 months.
Right.
It was a rough 6 months. I wouldn't want anybody to go through that.
No.
And the first year was a little uncomfortable. People were coming on board and they were kind of understanding, how the show was. I mean, we didn't rewrite the books here on how to do radio, but it was a lot different than what was on before. Mm-hmm. So the first months were really, really rough. And I would never want anybody to do that, but social media comes into play now and all of that. And do you feel like, hey, how quickly you were accepted in the market? Do you feel like it was quick and it was a pretty smooth transition?
I do. I do feel like the city showed me a lot of love. I feel like I was bombarded with messages and compliments and things like that. And you never want to rest on that. You never want to rest on that. You never want to believe your own hype. Oh, I must just be this wonderful. But I did know that out of all the things in the world, I was going to be authentic and true to myself. And I have always said, if you do that, good things will happen. If you're honest and you keep it as raw and authentic as you possibly can. I mean, if people hate you for who you really are, I mean, that's going to be too bad for them.
Well, hopefully I don't hire that person. I mean, and those are the things that I'm trying to weed out. And just like the quick story about how Tessa got here is obviously we were looking for somebody to come on the show after Dinah had quit the show. And she gave unbelievable amounts of notice, and she ended up staying a little bit longer. So she gave me a lot of time. She gave me a lot of time. I used up all of her time. I asked her for more time. Then I put somebody in there to kind of limp us through, and I just couldn't make a decision. And you were the last phone call that we called you, a cold call. We called you. You were in line somewhere, and you took our phone call. Right. When I say Radio Wizard and I, we called you, and then I said, you need to get here tomorrow, because you happen to be like in Corpus. I said, can you get here tomorrow? And I was 3/4 of the way convinced in hiring you when you said, I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, now that makes it sound like, well, Rod needs somebody to, when he says jump, you say how high. It's not it. I just need you to show me that you're super hungry for something like this.
Absolutely.
That's it. It doesn't continue. I don't tell you guys to jump and snap shit, but I know that we're going to have to do a lot of work, and I know that somebody that can put away all the bullshit. Well, I got this, and well, I really can't do this, and then there's my aunt, but I don't want to hear any of that shit.
Right.
I'm sitting here with a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and I said, can you be here tomorrow? And you said, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was probably your strongest flex before I sat down and even talked to you. So I don't think we've ever even talked about that before.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So Bobby Jokes, who put this together, he filmed us 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He has questions that I asked of you 3 years ago.
Okay.
And he wanted to see if you remember, or maybe you changed your mind on things. I haven't read these yet, nor do I wasn't prepared for him to have this for us today.
Okay.
Apparently, 3 years ago, I asked you, what show are you currently in love with?
I wore the shirt today. I wore a Yellowstone shirt today. It was Yellowstone back then, and now my favorite show that I am still trying to get Rod to watch is Peaky Blinders. So I guess
my sister tells me how great it is, and she's like, I hear Tessa telling you to watch this. Dummy, watch it. It's really good.
I really feel like you would enjoy it, and it's also kind of showing me, and there's a new season of Yellowstone coming out, so I will watch that, but I'm noticing I like a theme. So like Yellowstone, a very Western badass family, Peaky Blinders, a very badass, I believe, Irish family. So yeah, they're like gypsies. It's my favorite show, right? But yeah, so Yellowstone, now Peaky Blinders.
3 years ago, what's something people think makes them look cool but actually doesn't?
What's something that people... Oh, I remember this.
I don't.
Yes, I do.
I don't remember these questions.
I remember because I was wearing red lipstick, and I said red lipstick. Okay. And now I guess the answer is pink lipstick? No, I don't know. What's something that people think make them look cool? I guess... What do people think looks cool? Vaping?
Well, you did say red lipstick.
Vaping. I did, right? No, that one.
You said red lipstick.
I knew that one.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie still is Shawshank Redemption. I will say...
Why am I led to believe that The Wizard of Oz is your favorite movie?
Because it is my favorite movie. I have multiple favorites.
You see what I work with here?
Genres. You know what? Wizard of Oz is a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie.
Is it better than Shawshank Redemption?
If you want to be in a better mood, yeah. If you're a kid, yeah.
Okay. What music artist do you never get sick of? Finally, I remember something from 3 years ago.
Okay, Red Hot Chili Peppers was the answer.
And I said you're in the right place.
And I got to interview Anthony Kiedis. That felt like a manifestation of all sorts coming through. When Wizard, it was just a phone interview, and I believe it was 10 minutes. And I think I was late for the call because Wizard gave me like a funky time. And I was completely, my heart was in my throat the whole time. But I got to talk to Anthony. That felt like a fever dream. That felt like a fever dream.
Did we interview Flea together?
We got to read his parts of his book, and we got to do like a double interview together, which was amazing. But I mean,
Okay.
I had a dog named Kiedis. I was obsessed. I still am obsessed with Anthony Kiedis. That I felt like that was a full circle moment of my life. That was a moment that I was able to have here.
What is your hidden talent?
I have no-
I asked you 3 years ago.
We're still searching for it.
And you had an answer 3 years ago.
We're still searching for it.
That's not the answer you gave.
Well, I thought I could sing, but then I heard Alex sing.
Can you tie a cherry stem in your mouth?
No.
I thought all bartenders could do that.
No, all sluts can do that. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to slut shame. I'm just kidding. If it's long enough, I can do it.
Okay.
Some of them are like...
You don't remember?
tricky.
What's your hidden talent?
What can I do? No. What is my talent?
Baton twirler, you told me.
I can do that. I can do that.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
What kind?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Yes.
What
I'm
kind?
still the same. See?
What kind of student were you? I asked you 3 years ago. What
my
was
God.
your wacky answer?
Average.
What was that zany answer
Average.
of that bright-eyed young
Average.
gal that couldn't wait to jump into radio? What kind of student were you?
Average at best.
Absent. This is going to be a comedy show or something that you're hiring me for? Favorite place to visit outside of the U.S.? I do know this about you.
Outside of the U.S., Mexico.
I don't know this about
Australia.
you. Because you told me Australia. And I think you were banging a dude from Australia.
I have banged a bloke from there. It's over.
If he's a bloke, did that make you a Shayla?
Australia.
What's a hobby you want to pick up? Let's see if you ever picked it up.
A hobby I went
3 years ago, I asked you, what is a hobby you want to pick up?
Tennis. Did I say tennis?
Olympics? Bobby?
That's what she said.
She said she wanted to.
She wanted to pick up the Olympics.
You wanted to just pick up the Olympics
I
for
do
a
want to
hobby?
pick up the Olympics, all the rings.
I asked you, oh, suck up. What's next on your bucket list? 3 years ago, I asked you, what was next on your bucket list?
And I was sucking up.
Yeah.
To make,
Totally.
Okay, wait. What's on my bucket? To make the show better.
Being on a top-rated morning show in Houston. No shit. We were top-rated when you got here. I just said don't fuck it up.
Rude. What is on my bucket list? I mean, I don't know. I don't keep a running one. It's like you just have to say yes to opportunities, and that's like what I did with you.
What's been your, outside of how great I am, your biggest surprise moving? Because she spent time in Houston. You lived here for a short while.
I did.
It sounds like it was a little bit blurry, that time that you did spend here. But
I was in my 20s.
what's been, I mean, something, Pro City, one of the MOs of the Rod Ryan Show always, and you know that how frustrated I get, is I want the world to know how great Houston is. And I feel like we have an identity crisis, and I feel like we always have to do things to kind of pump up how great it is. Believe me, winning another World Series would be great, man. If we could ever win a Super Bowl here, boy, those things really do help a city.
Right.
But this city is dope, man. We've got world-class food. It is a beautiful city. It is a huge city. It is the most diverse city, maybe in the world, but I think in the U.S. What has surprised you about Houston, now that you've really become a citizen?
I think the people are just movers and shakers. I think the people here, they get it. I feel like they're quick paced. I feel like they're honest. We know our listeners are brutally honest, but then the generosity of this city. This city is full of people that, again, I'm using it twice now, movers and shakers. There's people here that are doing things to contribute to society as a whole, and it's cool to be among that. It's cool to be among that. I mean, we're working with Houston Children's Charity. We're gonna go hang out with some of them tonight. Like, what are we doing there?
Right.
What the fuck are we doing there?
This is the richest. I mean,
we're going to the Post Oak tonight. Like, that's in itself is like a bucket list thing.
hey, Garcon, can you seat me next to Tillman Fertitta, please? I'd like to bend his ear, maybe see if we can get a hockey team here. If I see Tillman, I'm getting us a hockey team.
Don't embarrass us.
That's going to help us. I mean, a hockey team would help out Houston. That's the one thing that we're lacking. Other than that, it's a great place. I'm happy that you're here. I hope that you're still happy. The thing about mornings is it can get tough, the waking up. I imagine you get the same questions that I do when I'm out. When I'm out, where's Tessa? And then what time do you get up in the morning? And what does AMF mean? Getting up in the morning, man, it gets to be a grind. I mean, I know it. And that's where, I have to lead by example. I've been doing it a long time. I've been getting up at 3:20 for almost 25 years now.
Right.
You've been getting up at your time, which is
3:45.
And you've been doing that for 3 years now.
Right.
So what would you say about anybody that, what was something that you realized when you get up that early? I always say, I don't remember the last time I wasn't just a little bit tired.
Well,
that's after doing it for 25 years.
As excited as I was in that first year, if I'm being completely honest, my body was fighting me. My body was saying, what are you doing? You cannot maintain this space. And it's like, I'm going to work. This is the new thing I'm doing. I'm not giving my body a choice in this anymore. You have to get up. And I've always, worked overnight and worked weird hours, and I've never not been able to get up. But the consistency, which is where the magic happens, and doing it over and over and over again. There was a long time where I think my body as a woman and turning 35, getting here 35, being at this weird age where my body's changing. I think it fought me and it resisted, and I just had to mind over matter say, doesn't matter. You have a job to do, and while that job is fun and rewarding and amazing, like my body was still just trying to hold on to some level of like, okay, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So making sure that I change my diet, we do the vitamin C, and yes, we do go out and we do party and stuff, but I have to make better decisions for myself all the time that I don't think I would if I didn't know, hey, when that alarm clock goes off, it is showtime. It doesn't matter how you feel.
I think your average person, they realize, oh, wow, because that's why they ask, like, man, what time do you get up in the morning?
Right.
So they know that it's early, but what can't be conveyed and what can't, and listen, we're not
heroes.
We're not swinging a hammer, We're not working outside. We're not doing those types of really physical jobs. But
it's a mental game.
But it really is. Unless you do it, it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
That getting up at 3 o'clock, in the 3 o'clock hour, like I said, my alarm goes off at 3:15, and people just assume that I'm used to it. And I do it. I don't complain about it because
what's the point?
Because that was my decision.
Right.
So there's no sense in getting up and bitching and moaning about it. But it really does take its toll, and it works its way into the other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's mental, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, it just, the early part of it, it really is a huge thing. And when I'm interviewing people for this job, and I get it, it's cool. It's a popular show, it's fun, but I've got to determine, can they get up and do that grind every day?
Right.
And it was always scary talking to people, because most people that I interviewed for the job, for any of the jobs on the show, very few of them had morning experience.
Right.
So I had to kind of, I'm looking for cues or ticks or something to figure out, is this person going to be able to hack it? You laugh, but again, we're not swinging a hammer all day, but not everybody can get up that early.
No.
Every day. It disrupts, it's a life disruptor.
This is TMI, but in my 3 years here, I've dated a couple of guys. And when they're like, oh, I'm going to wake up early. Because they think, oh, if I get up early with you, like I can spend a little bit more time with you since you go to bed early. Or they try me, they can't do it. People can't do it. They will try, and their body are like, no. I'm like, just just go to sleep, okay? I will be up. I will be the only person in the world up.
That
And
happened.
is fine.
That happened a long time ago. I was dating a girl, and she was getting up early and making me breakfast. And I just said, you know what?
Stop.
When the alarm goes off, I like that there's nobody around. I don't have to deal with my kid. I don't have to deal with anybody.
Right.
It's just I'm in work mode. I don't want to exchange pleasantries with somebody in my house.
I know.
I'm in work mode though.
Right.
I don't want
Right.
to. I wouldn't want somebody getting up. I don't know. Chili's wife Christina, I think, cooks some breakfast in the morning. I'm like, I can make that English muffin on my own.
Thank you.
You know. All right. Well, 3 years. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too. And I would tell you. I'd be like, I am losing my mind. But that was already gone before.
She holds up a sign. Help! Somebody that's
It's hot as balls in here.
somebody that's watching this.
Let's go.
Please get me out of here. Or get me to 100,000 on Instagram so
Please.
she can influence.
I will do both. I will influence and I will wake you up.
All
I will
right.
do both.
Well, here's to your next 3 years. I don't know who'll be doing this interview, but knock yourself out.